Good morning. It is Sunday morning, February 19th, 2023. This is Ron Brown. I'm going to continue talking about ACS Investor and Thinkorswim Better Together, but today I'm just going to talk about ACSI and some of the things to look at and some scans, a few scans that I've been working on. So let's go ahead and get started. Once again, standard risk disclaimer, any stock, index, or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Now, the first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to spend a little time on market analysis, but I'm not going to devote much time to it. I just want to show you what I see, and just because I see it doesn't mean it's going to do what I think it's going to do, but we all have to take the information that we have from the market and try to distill something out of it. Now, the market is our best teacher, of course, because whatever the market tells us is going on, that's what we have to observe and then make decisions based upon that. Now, rather than using my standard Nasdaq chart that I put out every market day. So let's take a look at this. I'm in my Major Markets Plus folder. I have the Nasdaq composite selected. I've double clicked it and brought it through to two charts. I have a daily chart here, a weekly chart here, but I'm going to hit my alternate M key and make this a monthly chart on the left. And I want to do this just to give us a longer term perspective and show you really, even though we've had this very nice rally, how far down we are from the top based upon the monthly chart. But I also want to point out how good these VPA flags were. Here was a low volume test. Okay, this is February, this would be January, this is December, this is November, this is October. And there was a confirmation of that test in October, and then on, December. December was a turned around and was down, a shakeout day, but notice it didn't take out this low right here. So this would be, these areas here would be a higher low, and then at the end of January, this poked its head out. I'll zoom in here a little bit if I can. I have to get rid of that. See if I can zoom in on this. It poked the high, surpassed the high of December. And so the way I look at this, there were higher lows and a higher high. And then in February, we've continued with a higher high. And now we're getting somewhat of a upper wick here, which indicates some selling, and you can see it over here on the daily chart. But I still have to conclude that the monthly chart is in an uptrend, whatever that means. Like I said, these are just assumptions based upon what I see, or opinions based upon what I see, and nothing more. So let's change this back to a weekly chart. And here you can see what has happened in this line here is where February begins. This is where January begins. This is December, and so on. So you can see on the weekly chart in December the 3 weeks of turning down, and then in the fourth week it kind of put in a volume, which was also a low volume test, and a confirmation of that test. The next week, which is the beginning of December, we saw a buy signal on the 6th of December, and then this triangle right here, if you look up here, is a high volume up bar closing on the high, indicates strength, and it really didn't look back until, I don't mean look back, it really didn't pause that much until last week and this week. Now this week shows a no demand, a sign of weakness. Why is that? Because if you look down here, the volume bar is lower than any preceding volume. So that shows that demand has slacked off. But on the other hand, you can see that we've had a series of higher lows and higher highs. And on the weekly chart until this low, this would be the first low that would have to be taken out, but this low right here would really, in my opinion, signal a downturn or start of a downtrend on a weekly chart. Now the daily chart's a little bit different story. You can see all of these good VPA flags that directed the market along the way. And what happened, this here I believe was a massive short squeeze, and where buyers also jumped in because of FOMO or fear of missing out, and this always happens. Put a crosshair on here. If you look down here, look at the extreme volume here, and then the next day it gapped down and buyers jumped back in, assuming this is just a temporary pause, and we've been bouncing around since. Here's a couple of VPA flags, no demand or no supply, I mean, and then a low volume test, but that one didn't hold. And then we have an inside day here, and then an effort to fall. And now what we saw here was a doji or a doji star, and then three white soldiers. And when the inflation news came out, you can see what happened. It gapped down, tried to rally to add to this rally. I thought maybe we would have a chance of surpassing that, but that didn't happen. Then on Friday, what did we have? We had a gap down, but it closed at its high, which gives us a low volume test. If you look down here at the bottom, you'll see that volume was low. And also, if I put the have the crosshair on here, you can see that it didn't take out this low, and it closed near the high. So if I bring this information up here, well, that's not the information I really wanted. What I was looking for here is the close was very high. When I click on this, very high, and the sentiment is bullish on this low volume test. So the market didn't continue down on Friday, which is a good sign, with the monthly and the weekly uptrends still in place. I still believe it's leaning towards the bullish side, in spite of all the interest rate hikes and talk of further rate hikes. It's really defying all that. And I read an article the other day about all of the new inexperienced money that's come into the market. They're buying every dip, assuming it's going to go up, and it may end up disastrously in the future. But as of now, I believe everything's still up. But don't take my word for it. I'm just showing you what I see on the charts, and that's all. But the VPA flags in many instances have been great, so we have to pay attention to them. Now, on Tuesday, if the market starts going up higher here from here, I think there's a good chance of going higher. But once again, remember, the market is our teacher. We're the students. We have to observe what's going on. Now I want to show you a couple things that I've been working on, and the reason I am is to avoid chasing stocks and getting to this FOMO situation where you jump in just thinking you're going to miss out, and usually that ends in disaster. So I'm going to go here and just go into all securities and bring this up. Now I want you to update your add-on because you're going to have to get these, and you're going to find these under VPA. I've added to the VPA, and these are really not VPA signals, bullish and bearish one-day reversals. They may or may not be, but I was experimenting with some filters, trying to find a way, looking for bullish and bearish one-day reversals, and I'll show that to you, what I have so far. It may change in the future, but I kind of like what I see right now. Another thing is, these are the two scans that I had put in a while back, and they're under my daily prospecting scans. They really belong under VPA. I'll leave them here for now, but will eventually delete them under my #1 folder. And I've put them in here where they belong. Now, this view is a little bit different than most of my views, but all the pertinent information is in here. What I'm looking for tests for supply or strength seen returning. Well, let's get this out of the way. I just want a daily chart and a weekly chart over here, and I'm sorted on raw combo. So looking at the filter, if any of these things which are VPA flags occur, then I will get a signal in here. And these are all low volume test types or strength seen returning. You can see here is the actual VPA flag and the code that Matthew has put into the program, and then these are the descriptions. So this one here on Amicus, fold, low volume test for supply. I can see using the Wyckoff indicators the volume was less than average, the spread was above average, the close was very high. A test for supply, and it is a low volume test. It's up 3.6% for the day, closing at 98.41% of its daily range. It's a specialty pharma. The EMA flag is up. Now I just have naked charts down here, no indicators, but when I bring this stock up, and I'm just doing this on the fly, I can see that this is a strongly trending chart on the weekly chart, and also a little bit loose, neutral type chart on the daily chart. But here's our flag right here. It's a low volume test. Now with a crosshair on here, you can see that there's resistance across here. It's going to have to break through there. And if I put the crosshair on here, you can see the resistance right here, which is the same as the resistance right in here. So with the low volume down here and they close on the high, that tells me buyers were in here on Friday. Do they have the strength to get through this resistance? I don't know, but this is a decent setup. And if you were to take this trade, you'd want to define your risk on it. You bring up this tool here, click on R, make sure that these two are selected, and then you could just do this. I'm going to change this to yellow, so I'll click on this and change this to yellow, and I'll make it a little thicker so you can see it. And then you can drag these out to clear that area. And if I were to buy this a couple of cents above the high with a good till canceled, or a buy stop order, and put my stop in just a few cents below this, I'd be risking 5.37%. And by the way, when you put your buy stop in, you put your stop in at the same time. They're executed at the same time. Otherwise, you're going to be left out there holding a naked long position. Okay, so this is not a bad looking trade. I don't like all this congestion in here, and it's going to have to break if you buy it here, or if you want to wait. Let me bring this back up here. If you want to wait for it to clear, you'd have to wait for it to clear up here, and that's going to change your risk to 7.32%, which is not terrible, but you're giving up the upside too. But conversely, you're waiting for it to get past resistance. I'm going to clear all these annotations. Let's look at one more stock in here. This is low volume test 2, which means an up bar closing near the high, and it confirms strength. So let's look at this one. Now here on the weekly chart, you can see it's in a congestion area. It too has resistance above here. Let's look at the earnings. I didn't look at the earnings on the first one. Earnings are out on this. It's an industrial machinery company. It was a shakeout here. Probably the earnings disappointed, but what do you see here with this daily chart? You see this closing near or at the high on every one of these candles. Low volume test, confirmation of that test. Got a little gap to fill here, but there are definitely buyers in here after this sell-off. So these two I'm going to put in a user group into a watch list. I'm going to create a new one. This is, I'll just call this Feb 19th for now. Okay. This one, gonna quick add to group, put it in February 19th. So I've got a couple of stocks to look at right here. Let's do one more. This is an inexpensive stock. Look at the support that it found right here. Here's a low volume test. The trend is clearly up on this stock on the weekly chart, on the daily chart. It's kind of bouncing around here, but this is a low pivot, I would say, compared to the preceding bars. And once again, if I'm interested in potentially taking this trade, okay, that's a 9% risk, approximately 9% risk if I wait to buy it a tick or two above the high on Friday and then putting the stop in down here. I like this uptrend, but what is this? This is another biotech stock, which a lot of emotion in this stock. How do I know that? Well, look how it moves up and down. So it's a decent setup, but I don't like the resistance here. I'm going to skip that one. So anyway, this is a test for supply. You can go through these. This requires a fan up. That's why we're seeing strong weekly charts here. Now the no fan, look at the difference, 287 compared to 69. I would pretty much stick to the fan up because you're looking for uptrending stocks. I'm using the same, I'm just going to reverse the raw combo here. What do we have? We have a very high close, low volume, spread is below average. It's a test for supply. But you can see that the fan is not up. So you're dealing with stocks that are down when you're looking at the lower end of this by reversing the raw combo. But on the daily chart, it doesn't look too bad, does it? I mean, it's off of this weekly high here, and we're seeing no supply, a sign of strength, and over here we're seeing a low volume test. It's a closed-end fund. I could screen those out, but I'm just going to leave them in there for now. Actually, let's get rid of those. Edit. Closed in fund equals no. That cuts it down some, not much. Let's go up to the prior scan. This search is very handy when you're building filters. 69 before. Didn't eliminate any. It doesn't look like it isn't finished updating though. Didn't eliminate any. So there were very few closed-end funds in there. Anyway, these are, if you're looking for good entries or less risky entries, these is one way to do it. And I'm going to quickly cover this, and I'll be doing more of these in other videos. I just want to keep this video from getting too long. These are bullish one-day reversals, and you can see them intraday. I'm doing this on a Sunday, so that isn't filled in, but a bullish one-day reversal and a bearish one-day reversal, and I'll show you what. Here's a bullish one-day reversal. Let's get this out of here so I can. So here's a weekly chart trending up, and you can see there was a pullback here, and then on Friday, look at this volume coming in on an effort to rise. Bright Horizons Family Solutions, Educational Services, earnings are out of the way until May. Had to be news coming into the stock. Starting to trend here. I'm going to add this and follow it on Tuesday. But notice these are one-day reversals. Here's a red candle. Here is a strong bullish candle. Telephone and data systems. Looks like they're losing plenty of money, but news came in when you see bars like this, and there was a signal here, strength seen returning after a downtrend confirmation, and then a shakeout day. Volume wasn't tremendous on that shakeout day, but it was up. But the news, whatever the news is, came into this stock, and it's an IPO, as you can see. No, it isn't. That's just a huge gap down over here. Okay, let's do one more. One-day reversal after bad news. Dun & Bradstreet, an old company, trending down, but buyers thought it was overdone, so they stepped in. Now I'm going to flip over to the bearish one-day reversal. Friday, as you know, there were a lot of stocks down here. We're getting 50. Let's take a look here. This is not a one-day reversal, but as you can see, if you look over here, this is a transfer of ownerships. One of the things that I've got in the filter. So there are lots of transfer of ownership. Now I can't differentiate between bullish and bearish there, so I just have to live with this. But you can see that here's a reversal. It opened high and closed low. This was an inside day the prior day. So on the transfer of ownerships, they're going to be a little bit different. But here's one that's correct. You can see the red dot in there, and it totally reversed on Friday. I still may be able to figure something out on some of these filters, but this is what I've come up with so far. So let's look at this one here. Now this one had a white bar the prior day, and now it reversed, so that would be a one-day reversal. Looking at the weekly chart, this is clearly in a downtrend, a weak stock. So these two bullish candles and three positive VPA signals were fighting the trend. The trend is down. You always have to take the trend into account, and that's why on the bullish low volume tests and bullish one-day reversals, I like to have a fan in place. Now on these, here's one that's correct. It's effort to rise. You can look up and down these signal conditions, and all the transfer of ownerships may be different. It may have a red bar prior, but anything else with the bullish flags or the bullish signal conditions are going to be a green bar within a one-day reversal to the downside. The transfer of ownerships are not always going to be that way. Now here's one that was perfect, a green bar and a red bar with the transfer of ownership. I just put these together yesterday, so there may be some changes, but I thought it was important to have a screen with one-day reversals, especially if you're a long side player only and you're looking to get into a stock that has pulled back. That's it for this video. I don't want it to get any longer, so let me know what you think of these new screens. Remember, you have to update your add-on to get these into your system. Thanks for listening. Have a good President's Day holiday.